wonderful one day. Carnage in New York, carnage in Tel Aviv, carnage in Jersey, LA, Chicago. I mean, David, I can't keep up. But you know what? I got my good friend here. He's got his Mickey Mouse ears and he's wearing a nice collared shirt. You look, oh, and a nice coffee. I'm jealous. David, it's Wednesday. What do we got to rant about, man?
Look, Stuart, you brought up Tel Aviv in this, but I think you're wrong because Tel Aviv has nothing to do with today's rant. Today's
No,
rant has nothing to do with the fact that in a New York minute, we've heard that many times, and check out what happens in a New York minute. Crime on the rise. Why? Previous mayor thought defunding the police would get him votes. Defunding the police was the way to go. New DA comes in, says we're not going to prosecute petty crimes. Why? It's unfair to the African American community. And here, once again, when you let the inmates run the asylum, you get what happened yesterday in New York. Now, people are going to say this is a one-up. You can't compare. Stop doing this. But the reality is that we've been hearing in the United States about mass shootings, and New York is turning into the mass shit show because of the crap that previous administrations have decided that makes sense, that politics trumps safety, that good woke messaging trumps taking care of your constituents. And Stuart, I got to tell you, Tel Aviv, you're talking about pure terrorism.
Yep.
And an attempt to deflect noise from a Russian war. It's an Iran-sponsored, Syrian-sponsored type terrorism. We've seen this for generations. But in New York, I remember the 80s, scared to go into New York because the place was a disaster. Stuart, you were living not far away back as a kid, and it was a hellhole. And is New York, Stuart, heading back to where it was back in the 70s and 80s?
Listen, New York crime rate 2021 was up 5% from 2020, considering everyone was locked up in 2021 in New York. And, the first month of 2022, when we started letting the crazies out of the asylum, as we say, it was up 38.5%. Subsequently, the crime rate in Chicago is 67% higher as of the beginning of this year than all of these big city centers that all have these insane district attorneys, Soros-sponsored DA's offices, and mayors that think that when you have carnage in the New York subway, it's time to have an anti-gun bill as your little rant. At the end of the day, David, there is insanity. The reason why I mentioned Tel Aviv is not because of the direct correlation, but what happened in New York today. They were afraid to announce that this person under suspicion was a Black American man.
Yeah,
they were afraid to say everything.
The mayor negated. He actually contradicted the police chief, who didn't want to call it terrorism. But I give credit to the new mayor, who actually called it what it might be: terrorism.
Right, but he also at the same time made a political speech that we got to disarm the United States of America. So he was giving he was actually giving what I believe is a test presidential run type, governor type run. And that's the analysis of his speech. It wasn't a New York mayor going, I'm a New York mayor, I'm a former New York cop, I bleed, we got every resource that's going to catch this guy and bring this guy down. Instead, he's giving a lecture all about guns and America, talking about Carbine, Colorado, talking about Orlando, talking about all these massive things as they relate to this subway issue, which they don't. The subway issue is the gross incompetence, as you said, of many mayors, many governors. And you know what? The lackadaisical approach of defund the police means the police don't really care. They don't have the beat that they used to have.
I don't think the police don't care. I don't agree with you.
New York City's got a war room of cameras where almost every single camera, literally in the whole entire metro city and subways, is on a big board, David.
Yeah,
I've seen pictures.
But Stuart,
if you see like 10 monitors out, and they've been out for a long time, the budget that city has, They couldn't go and fix them. Come on,
I
there is
don't think
more duplicit
I
shit going on here.
I
The city
disagree.
wants chaos. The
I
more chaos they have, the more they deflect from Biden, and the more chaos is going to continue.
I disagree with you that the police doesn't care. I think that the police has just are exacerbated. And let's go back to Black Lives Matter type of protesting, where the mayor of New York City was totally excited that there was all this carnage. Absolutely. But the police, for crying out loud, the police took an oath, and the police actually do care. And if you talk to police officers, and I actually have met a few of the police chiefs in my time, and they have said to me, we are trained today not to be police officers, but to be PR specialists.
Social workers.
Oh, Stuart, not social workers. The words that they said was, and I remember talking to the police chief, I think it was a suburb of Atlanta. He says, I need training on how to do press conferences. I need training on how to do with media, because every minute my
Well,
job.
they removed this. Police cars used to have to serve and protect. They no longer have that on any police vehicle in this entire country.
You
And
know
if
what?
anyone that's listening, I challenge you to take a picture of a 2022 cop car that says to serve and protect. That
Stuart,
they're there to document and there to take a
Stuart,
report.
the problem is that you're blaming the police in a political
No,
world, and I
I'm blaming
disagree.
the
That's
governors that
but
fund these
that's
police.
but I'm saying that in New York right now, if we go back to New York, and maybe you're right about the mayor making political statements and whatever, and you may be pro gun control, but the fact of the matter is that, again, how does someone get a rifle like this, go into a subway,
Rifle. It
shoot
was a
shoot
handgun.
dozens, shoot
It was a
dozens?
handgun.
He
But
had
the
more
guy
than
had a
he had.
machete. But
He
the
had a
guy had a
machete.
machete too. He had an
He had.
axe. What the hell? If you take the gun away from the guy, you got a knife. You got a knife, you
Stuart,
got an axe.
Stuart, I get it, and that's the difference between two philosophies of gun control and whatever. But it's about education. It's about mindset. It's about stop creating chaos. One of the things that the Black Lives Matter movement professed was, this is the anger. We agree that the people are angry and should express it in a violent manner. That is repulsive. To go out and to shoot, attack, hurt on purpose dozens of people because you're
Well,
angry,
did you
I don't
hear?
buy it.
Did you hear what the LA gangs are? They're targeting the rich and famous now in LA.
Yes. Well, Stuart, it's
And you know what?
unfortunate.
And you know what? The beauty of it is, I live in Florida. Those that live in Texas, do you know what's going to happen? It's going to be vigilanteism.
But
They're
that's
just
what
going to shoot these people dead,
but they're
and it's
happy to
over.
they're so happy to hear this, though. And people
I know,
who
and I'm
favor,
happy to say it.
and I got to tell you, and those that are in favor of gun control are going to go, you see the lawlessness, I have to protect myself.
But
And it's
this is the
just it's
whole
the
strategy that's going on now. The Democrats are buried. The only way that they're going to get any votes in November in the United States is if they confuse and conflate the issues. And the issue isn't black, it isn't gun control, it's bad governance. The President of the United States yesterday says, I can't control the inflation and blame Putin. I can't control the crime, but I'm taking a knee saying defund the police. I mean, the problem is the optics and the governance are just one and the same. They're just not there.
look, at the end of the day, the thing which makes it is crazy is that innocent people are being targeted, killed, maimed, injured. I don't know what the long-term injuries are going to be for these folks, physical or psychological, for the people who were hit and people who were not hit. But I've got to tell you, this is the result of what has started years ago. The political movements that were out there, you said it, defund the police. Okay, let's defund the police, and
It's not about the police, David. I love the
no,
police.
Stuart, let me finish. It's not about the police. It's about taking away the ability to preserve some form of
Law and order.
law and
But
order.
here's another crazy thing. David, we're talking about a bunch of different. We mentioned inflation. We mentioned all these different cities. We mentioned crime, Black Lives Matter. Let me throw another crazy one in here. We have an unchecked border.
Mm-hmm.
You got tens of
Yeah,
thousands of people coming in
this is
from all over the world. And you know what? They're coming over with gangs wearing Gucci bags, proud of this, proud of that, and they're videotaping. Hey, you want to come to America? We'll get you in.
Yeah,
And the
but
coyotes from the cartels are walking people across the
look,
border.
look, we're great. Look, you've got yourself, and again, immigration is a problem with respect to the crime. But I'm just showing what really was sad about yesterday, and it just show you that it literally displaced Ukraine as the lead story, and all of the media, okay, is that here is where the blame game begins. You've got the left liberal media blaming the GOP for not wanting gun control, which is stupid. It has nothing to do with this. You've got the
Correct.
right wing media who's screaming and yelling at these liberal mayors and liberal governors that about their policies with funding and the police and whatever. At the end of the day, you have an extraordinary lawlessness in America's biggest city. What is that going to impact?
It's
Let's
cities
just
plural.
hold on. Let's talk for a second. The impact on New York is going to be what? People won't come to visit New York City. It's
They
going
don't go
to
now.
people at the 70s and 80s, if you recall, were petrified of
Just
visiting
like
New
they
York.
were of Miami in the early
Exactly.
80s.
Right. And now you're going to go right back to that. You're going to have people wanting to leave New York. People who live, citizens of New York, are going to want to leave New York. And all you're going to have left is a massive ghetto of shit. You're going to have people who can't afford to leave, people who can't afford to do whatever, and they're going to be there, and you're going to turn this into one massive
But
war.
here's how this spirals out of control. Back to inflation. Beef's up 16%, pork and chicken's up 13%. Do you
Yep.
want to know something? Gasoline's up 100%, milk's up 30%,
Yep.
eggs are up 30%.
But does
Now
that
you've
make
got, one second. Now you've got our case that we brought up in February about the Russians declaring war by holding back all the fertilizer from the world, which is a declaration of war. And do you want to know something? The chaos and chaoticness that's going to come from the average medium home and low income homes is they're getting wiped out and they're going to
yeah,
go viral in the street. And I got to tell you, our president of the United States is the first commander and not in chief of this country that's allowing this to become worse and worse. This
his
is an economic problem. It's not a black American problem.
no.
This is a White
Well,
House problem.
listen, I'll tell you a funny story, and it's a sad story. About 2 years ago, when COVID started, I was playing hockey with a guy here in Montreal, and he said, "Look, I'm learning to shoot a gun." I said, "Why are you learning to shoot a gun?" He goes, "Because I expect with COVID, with the rations, with where we're going, people are going to try to attack my house and pillage my house because I have canned goods, I have this, I have that." And we all thought he was nuts. We all thought he was certifiable. Now let's fast forward to 2022. I'm not so sure he was totally off his rocker, because
Exactly.
this chaos. If you can permit this in New York, who's to say tomorrow morning in
It's
San
not New
Francisco,
York.
in
One second. It's
Chicago,
New
in my
York,
hold
LA,
on.
San
Yeah.
Francisco,
But that's what I'm saying. Who's to say tomorrow morning
Chicago,
somebody doesn't walk in?
Massachusetts.
Listen, tomorrow morning somebody goes in and says, "Listen, I'm angry because I can't afford to put food on the table. I'm angry because this."
But
And
that's exactly so the program to cause chaos, this is just another element of causing chaos. I remember the only way the left stays in power and gets more control and takes parental rights away, takes your liberties away. I mean, the United States is the template of the free world, right?
mm-hmm,
We are the freest world in the world at this
for
point.
its country,
But they're
absolutely.
but they're trying to scale it back. Look at your rights. The prime minister put a war act in without any vote. I
Look,
mean, it's
look,
it's just
or
a
but
nonstop.
it is. But Stuart, this is the whole thing. The sad part is that the people who were hurt yesterday are victims of negligence. This guy might end up being, they might say he's crazy and they're going to give him insanity. They'll give him all kinds of whatever. At the end of the day, this is what America has done. It
Yep.
promotes violence as a response to difficulties, as opposed to, as you said, the White House responding in kind. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we've reached our quarter hour. We're done for Wednesday. It's Good Friday this Friday. We're going to talk about goodness, we hope, on Friday. Wishing you all a great day. Have a good one. See you on then. Bye.